Cameras, right. Okay, I'm hanging up. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is another beautiful day in the neighborhood here at the Fire Challenge. Today I am going to be talking to you guys about some interesting things. And you'll notice that if you happen to see my plants and things behind me, I'm in the middle of a move. I finally found my home, and so I am moving in the next 2 weeks. So I'm living out of boxes. I don't know. When we do real estate, one of the things that you don't really think a lot about is what does it take to get to the place that you want to be in. And so today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things that help you move from where you are to where you want to be. I'm Dr. Sakira Jackson, and this is the Fireside Chat and the Fire Challenge, where we talk about real estate, real life, and how you can really create the life that you want. A lot of the times when I've noticed, at least for me, a lot of the times you hear people who are in real estate, and when you see them after they have achieved what we would call greatness. They have acquired hundreds of properties or thousands of properties, and you don't really get to see the journey. You get to see after it's done. And the thing about that is that while they're teaching you what they did, I think it's really important to also sometimes see when it's being done. And so for me, I'm going to be walking you along the path with me as I acquire real estate and with my partner as we acquire multiple units of real estate. Because I feel like being aware of what it actually takes to go from 0 properties owned to 10, 20, 50, 100, 10 units, 50 units. It's about being able to see it. And yes, you can come in with some of the gurus and you're able to learn how to do it. But I noticed that a lot of people have a hard time doing it even after they connect with their coach. They still aren't able to do the work. And then as a psychologist, we know that people learn from different ways. Some people learn from doing, some people learn from seeing, some people learn from writing, some people learn from hearing. And what I'm attempting to do here in working with you is to provide you with whatever type of methodology of learning that you need in order to get what you want. So if you're a visual learner, we're going to be offering that. If you're a person who's auditory, we're going to offer you that. If you're a person who writes and you need to write it down, we're going to offer you that. What we're going to be teaching you is to get started from where you are, to get started from what you need in order to move from where you are to where you want to be. So how do you do that? I'm sure it might be the question. How do you start from where you are? How do you build financial independence so you can retire early, or just simply have financial independence? Because some people don't want to retire. What you have to do is an exercise that we did on our last session. It's an exercise that asks you to move yourself out of today and mentally put you into a place where you want to be. So, for example, if your goal is to own 4 multifamily units, 4 units, 4 quads, I would ask you to become aware of the fact that your mind is the lead on creating your future. Now, what do I mean? I mean that a person cannot have what they cannot imagine. If you cannot imagine having a 4 unit or four units, you'll never have them. If you can't imagine having a property, a house, a home, you will never have it. Now, why do I say that? Because your mind creates your present reality and your future reality. When I thought about creating this show, I had to have it in my mind's eye first. That's about the mindset. There's an amazing book that if you are wanting to really shift yourself, that you want to get a hold of. It's called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. If you've never read anything about how to change your mind, this book is going to help you, because there are 3 things that you have to do in order to get started, to get in action, to change your mindset and do the work that you need to do. One of the biggest things that I've found, and I've heard from many of my colleagues who teach people how to buy real estate, is that they will give people the books, they will give them the courses, they will give them the videos, they will take them out on tours of the properties, and yet only a very small percentage of the people that they do this work with will actually take action. So what we have to consider is that the reason that people don't take action is not because they don't want it. It's because their mindset is limiting their ability to achieve what they want to achieve. Their mindset is holding them back. And so what I want to talk to you guys about is, how do you put in place a practice of using your mind to create that reality? And I know you will say, well, I thought you guys were going to teach me how to buy real estate. We are. We are going to teach you about the 2 greenhouses and the 3 red hotels. But we're going to do it from the perspective of helping you first see it in your mind. First, spend some time visualizing yourself doing the work. So when I say first see it, most of the time we do things what we believe to be automatically. We'll think about going to the grocery store and we'll say, I'm going to go to the grocery store tomorrow. And then tomorrow you go to the grocery store. But the reality is that you first envisioned yourself going to the grocery store the day before. The more that you can actually get intentional and really good at focusing your mind on your end goal and seeing in your mind those things that you want to achieve, the easier and the faster it will show up. There's a process that you have to do that will really help you to get better at creating in this realm what you imagine in this realm. And there's only 3 things you have to do. The first thing is you have to want it. You have to have a burning desire in you that you want to achieve something. So, for example, if you said, I want to leave a legacy, I want to own property that gives me income so that I can have income for my children and my children's children, then you're going to have to start thinking from the end. What do I mean? You're going to have that desire so strong in your heart, so strong in your mind, that you can actually sit still and visually in your mind see yourself with that thing that you want to achieve. So if you want to own 4 units, 4 quads, and those are 4 units, then I want you to actually physically sit down, become still, and take the time to close your eyes and imagine the completion. Start thinking from the end goal, the end receipt of what it is that you want to do. And the third thing that you have to do is you have to work from the wish fulfilled. What do I mean by that? You have to assume that it's going to happen, that you don't have any doubt that it's going to happen. So you're going to start with the desire for it. That's your heart, right? You're going to sit down, and just before you go to sleep, you're going to start visualizing that thing that you want. And then you have to assume it's going to happen. You don't have to work super hard to make things happen. You have to sit still to make things happen. Now, why do I say that? Well, I think if you think just on a very basic level, every day you visualize something that you want to do. I'm going to go back to the grocery store example. You visualize, I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to pick up some bread, some milk, some eggs, some cheese, some strawberries, and some grapes. You visually think about it, see it in your mind, and then assume that you're going to do it. That's how easy it is to actually create that future that you want. You actually have to visualize it first, and then make sure that you can assume that it's going to happen. Now, there's a couple of things that may happen. You got to have faith. Faith is the assumption that what you want to have happen is going to happen. So you start taking actions as if it happened. And doubt is the opposite side of faith. So if you believe that it's not going to happen, then it's not going to happen. It's up to you to actually start to visualize it and then intentionally attach that emotion, that desire, that it will, excuse me, it will happen. What do I mean? It will happen. You start to assume. You start taking action. For example, when I put the offer on my new home, I decided that that was what I wanted. I had been looking and looking and looking, and I knew exactly the home that I wanted, right? And so literally, when I got out the car and I put my foot on the ground on the sidewalk in front of the house, it was like I had already been there, because I had been visualizing in my mind's eye this house and the way it would look and the location it would be in and how much it would cost. That as soon as I put my foot on the ground in front of the house, I already knew it was the house. Now, between the time you put the earnest money down and the time you close, there's several weeks. But I already began to assume it's going to happen. I've already assumed my wish has been fulfilled. I spend time now visualizing myself in the house, visualizing myself doing things in the house, visualizing my home with the new paint, with the new furniture. All of these things are based on me assuming that my wish would be fulfilled. And it's the same type of thing that you have to do. You start with desire. That's number one. The desire to have or be or do something. It's that isness of it, if I could give it a word. You just make it real. It just is. So you must want it to the point that you just assume it's going to happen. That's the first thing. The second thing that will help you bring it to reality is immobility. Immobility is when you either sit or lie down and take the time to take sort of like a mini nap. And in that time, you're going to visualize the actual event or the actual having of that which you desire. You're going to visualize the isness, meaning it already is. Everything that happened in this realm already happened. You're just bringing it into reality because you are the one that's imagining it. You're the one that's seeing it. You're the one that's turning it into reality. So when you sit still and began to visualize clearly that forward thinking, that space. There was an example in Neville Goddard's book about a blind woman who she had a job and she was going back to work, back and forth to work. And she would take a bus, which only took 15 minutes for her to get to work. And then the city changed the bus routes and she no longer was able to take the bus that she would take. And so now she was going to have to take 2 buses and a train to get to work. And it was going to take her almost 2 hours to do that. Well, she wanted not to take 2 hours to get to work. So she used this thinking from the end tool to get her way to go to work. And how do you do this? What she did was she sat down and she started to imagine herself being driven to work. And she would imagine herself feeling the car and she would imagine hearing the sounds as she was being driven to work. And she imagined that as she got out the car, she looked at the driver and she said, "Thanks so much." And the driver said, "You're welcome for the ride." And what happened was she did this for only 2 days, but she made it so visual that this interesting thing happened. She was sitting in her house having a vision of being driven to work. And one day she got up and she went to have lunch at a restaurant down the street from her. And she was talking to a gentleman about the change and the fact that she now was going to have to ride a bus that was going to take her 2 hours to go to work. And he was like, "Wow." And then she left and went about her way, and he left and went about his way. Well, later that day, he was talking to another gentleman about the woman that he was talking to at the restaurant. And the gentleman said, "Well, I would drive her to work." And he said, "You would?" And he said, "Absolutely. I can take 15 minutes out of my day to help her." They literally called her and started driving her to work. And the 2 gentlemen take turns driving this blind woman to work every single day. And she said that the first day that the gentleman who volunteered to take her to work, as she was getting out the car, she literally said to him, "Thank you so much." And he said, "No problem at all." Exactly what had happened in her visualization. Exactly what had happened when she began to think from the end. So I'm saying to you, if you are sitting here and you're saying, "I want to buy real estate, Dr. Sakira. Why are you talking to me about mindset, about visualization, about power of awareness?" I am saying to you that power of the mind and the ability to create that which you want is based on your ability to think from the end. You've got to take the time to really hone your desire and know what it is that you want. And then you've got to get still And you don't have to take a long time to do this. You can take a power nap. You can take a power nap and visualize that piece that you want, that you're thinking about, that 4 unit, that 20 unit, that 100 unit. And just see yourself at the end, walking into the closing, signing the closing documents, walking around your property and seeing your tenants living there, looking in your bank account and seeing the money in your bank account. I want you to think from the end and then assume that your wish will be fulfilled. You do not have to do a lot of work. You have to do specific work. The power of awareness is being aware of the power of your mind. We use our mind to do so many things, but most of the time, we don't do it intentionally. We don't intend to get the result that we want. And if we do, it's random. We say, I intend to go to the grocery store. I intend to make that call. I intend to lose weight. But it has been shown in studies that the athletes who use the visualization process to think from the end are more likely to have success than those who spend time just practicing their art. Now, what do I mean when I say think from the end? Thinking from the end means that you're going to use your mind to go out into the future and see the end and craft the end. So before you do it, you're just going to have to think about it. What do I want the end to look like? I want to own 500 units. I want to have passive income of $100,000 a month. I want to have a summer home in the Dominican Republic. I want to have time with my husband. I want to have time with my wife. You start to imagine what you want to have first. So you know what it is you desire, that's your heart's desire. Then you're going to sit down, get still, and you are going to visualize it. You're going to allow yourself to relax, and you're going to allow yourself to think from the end. Be in that space. Last week when we talked to Virgie and I was having her go out and visualize her life 3 years from now, I noticed that when she first started talking, she was talking from I will and I will and I will. That's a future tense. This exercise is a current tense because what you're going to do is make that 3-year wish a reality by making it current. You see, your subconscious does not know anything different from fantasy and reality. And the only thing that you have to do is take your fantasy and turn it into your imagination, visualize it in a way that you're thinking from the end, and you will start to create your reality today. Where you are today is where your mind put you. So if you look around in your circumstances and you do not like your circumstances, you've been thinking from the end, and the end that you're creating is not the one you want. But I'm here to tell you that you can change that. You can think from the end and create it, and the more that you are able to take your desire and attach that emotion to it, the more joy and love and happiness and forgiveness that you can bring into your thinking from the end, the faster it's going to get to you. So if you're thinking from the end today and you said, well, Dr. Sakira, there's a lot of things that I want. Okay. God is a God of abundance, and he gave you this tool. He breathed his life of creativity into your body. And he said to you, all things will be given unto you when you seek the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God is within you. So spend time with you. Stop looking outside for an answer. Take the time to figure out what you want. Take the time to sit still and really picture what it is you want, and then assume that it will happen. Faith is the belief in things that are unseen. And it is this task, this exercise, that's going to move the unseen to the seen. It's a tool. When you think from the in and you're intentional about the actions, you can go from desire to stillness to reality in 3 steps when you take the time to do it. So, my lesson for you today, my wish for you today, is that you try it. Take something small, something that you can easily identify that is the result that you desire. Whether it's a book, a car, someone to change, something to change, and first know that you desire it, and then sit still and take a power nap and see yourself as you're going into sleep. See yourself doing, being, and having that which you desire. And make sure that you assume it's going to happen. And then just do that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And you'll be surprised at how quickly what you're looking for will show up. This has been the Fireside Chat. I am Dr. Sakira Jackson. I hope that you start thinking from the end so you can have financial independence and retire early. I'll see you on next Thursday. I'm excited to see you. Join the Fire Challenge at thefirechallenge.com. You can join today. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Have an amazing rest of your day.